Every so often, you need to edit a baseline after you save it. For example, the stakeholders might approve some additional scope, and you need to add that to the baseline. Or you might need to change baseline values that weren't correct. You can resave parts of a baseline to see the new target values while still keeping track of any existing variance from the plan. Well, before you have actual values, you can just overwrite the baseline. On the Project tab, click Set Baseline, choose Set Baseline. Then in the Baseline box, choose the baseline that you want to reset. In this case, I'll just reset this original baseline. Then, click OK. And because the baseline's already been saved, you get a warning message, and it asks if you're really sure you want to overwrite the data. Well, if there aren't any actual values, that's what you want to do, so just click Yes. And now the new baseline is saved. But if you have actual values, let's say you add tasks or update a few revised tasks, you want to keep the variances between the baseline and the actual values. So in that case, you're going to update part of the baseline. You have a few options for how you update the baseline in this situation. So on the Project tab, click Set Baseline and choose Set Baseline again. This time, you use the Selected Tasks option because you have tasks selected. And there are two checkboxes you can choose from. Initially, they're turned off, and that says that these new values don't roll up to any summary tasks. The added tasks or edits in this case will show up in all the variances in the summary tasks. But let's say you have approved work or changes that you want to be part of the plan. Well, in that case, you turn on to all summary tasks because you want those revisions to the baseline to roll up to all the summary tasks. That way you won't see them as variances. On the other hand, if you have changes or added work that you want to track as additions, instead of the to all summary tasks, turn on the other checkbox, from subtasks into selected summary tasks. What this does is it'll actually change the baseline values for the selected summary tasks, but it leaves the original baseline values for all the other summary tasks. That way, the changes and revisions will show up as variances at the top level of the project. Well, let's take a look at how this works. So I'm going to cancel the dialog box and actually show you this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a task into this Evaluate Lease Sites summary task. So I click a row, go to the Task tab, and insert a task. In this case, I'll call it Eval Lease Terms. I'm going to set it to a 7-day duration. I'm going to assign the office manager. Well, I also want to link it to a couple of tasks. So in this case, I'm going to link it to Identify Potential Sites. So I select that and then put the new task's ID over in the successor table and click OK. I've got that link in place. And then I choose the new task and I put the ID for Select Site in the successor table and click OK. So now I've got a couple links in place. Well, I want to apply the summary table to this Gantt chart view. So I'm going to click up in that view and then go to the View tab, click the Tables button, and choose Summary. Well, now you can see here that the work for this Choose New Location is forecast to be 408 hours. And the work for the total project is forecast at 1,985 hours. But let's go back to the baseline table. So click the Tables button, choose More Tables, and apply Baseline. You can see in this case that Choose New Location has a baseline work hours of 352 hours, and the entire project is 1,929 hours. That's the baseline. But now we're going to edit the baseline. So in this case, I'm going to select the summary tasks that include the new task that I added. So I select from Choose New Location down to Finalize Lease. Those are the selected tasks that I'm going to update the baseline for. So now I go to the Project tab, click Set Baseline, and choose Set Baseline again. I'm going to save to the baseline, choose the Selected Tasks option. In this case, I want to roll up just to these two selected summary tasks, not the entire project. So I turn on the checkbox for From Subtasks into Selected Summary Tasks, and then click OK. Now, baseline has already been used, so I get the warning about overwriting the data, and I do want to do that, so I click yes. And now you can see a couple of things. Well, first of all, the change highlighting shows you which fields have changed. So you can see that the work for this new task is now part of the baseline, so that's a change. And you can also see that the work for these two summary tasks has changed from 352 hours up to 408 hours for the new task. But you can also see that the work for the entire project hasn't changed. It's still the baseline of 1929, and you don't see any change highlighting on that value. You can tell Project how to roll up new or revised values into your baseline so you can have changes become part of the baseline or show up as variances. It all depends on what the stakeholders want to see.